drums are beating here at East London's Orient Theatre. Welcome to this late-night South African title fight, the South African Flyweight Championship between the holders Zolile and Mbityi against the very dangerous Leonard Makhanya. Our ring announcer tonight in front of this almost packed Orient Theatre is Sipho Mzaleni.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Orient Theatre. The AA2 Boxing Promotions, in conjunction with CCB Sports Arena, invite you to witness one of the most exciting bouts of the evening. In the South African Flyweight Championship, over 12 nail-biting rounds of boxing. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm introducing the officials. Your referee now is Mr. Clive Jackson from Jebel. Judge is Mrs. Mbityi Jacobson Sisani. Timekeeper Mr. Chetani. Mr. Mavaman is the principal officer, and Dr. Pungan is at the ringside. Now the contestants. On my right, in pink and black trunks, tipping the scale at 50.18 kg. This is his professional record, ladies and gentlemen. He has 15 fights, winning 14, losing only 1, and 12 of his opponents couldn't go the distance. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you, all the way from Johannesburg, Leonard, second out, Makhanya. And on the opposite corner, in maroon and white trunks, weighing 50.72 kg. This is his record, ladies and gentlemen. He has got 16 fights, winning 13, losing 2, drawing 1, and none of his opponents couldn't make it, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you from East London is Zolile Brown Trasa Mbityi. And thank you.
Well, this is Mbityi country, all right. Makhanya has come into the Lion's Den, taking on the South African champion at home here, as far as the champion is concerned, the East London Orient Theatre.
Okay, Leonard, Zolile, we're going to have a good fight, okay? I've spoken to you in the dressing room. I want you just both to obey my commands all times. You do the rest, and I'll do my bit, okay? Come out fighting. You take hands, just have a good fight. May the best man win.
Our referee, Clive Jackson, short and to the point. Very definitely. Ringside with me, Bert Blewett. And Bert, we described Leonard Makhanya as dangerous, and I think that really is something that Mbityi is going to have to bear in mind.
Yes, but you can look for Mbityi to come out smoking here at the start of round 1. Makhanya expects him to do that and has worked out a plan to counter when he comes forward. So let's see whether he'll follow those kind of lines. Here we are, start of round 1 of the South African Flyweight title fight.
Mbityi is a fighter who likes to come forward. And certainly he did that very effectively in his grudge match against Toto Mokorotlo at the Selborne Tennis Stadium some months back. A real thriller that one was, and a fight which is certainly going to go down and run the Fight of the Year close at the annual Boxing Awards at the end of the year.
Well, these men, of course, are not entirely strangers to each other. They sparred about 2-3 years ago when Mbityi was going to fight Baby Jack Matlala.
Well, Nick Durant, there's some good combinations already put together by the champion. Nick Durant, the trainer of Leonard Makhanya, spoke to me and said he expected Mbityi to come forward and start quickly.
Well, Mbityi has certainly done that. He's starting to put combinations together already here in round 1. And for a flyweight, he does hit awfully hard.
Well, Mbityi pursuing Makhanya into Makhanya's own corner now. Nothing much coming back from the challenger. Scheduled for 12, of course, the South African Flyweight title online this evening. And the work being done by the champion in the first round. Just countering Makhanya there with a nice right hand as Makhanya threw one of the few punches he's thrown in this round. So Makhanya on the defensive for much of the round. Leonard Makhanya, of course, may have a little bit of a mental problem coming into this fight. He's coming off a loss, and it's never easy for a fighter to pick up the pieces. The loss was to an international opponent, a Russian fighter by the name of Makhmatov. Probably the best import we've seen in South Africa this year, Bert.
Yes, indeed. In fact, Nick Durant was telling me before the fight that Makhanya went into that fight with a problem with his knee, so it affected his mobility, and he hasn't got that problem here this evening. But it looks to me in these early seconds that Leonard Makhanya is going to need more than mobility to beat Mbityi here this evening.
Well, a very confident start to the fight by Zolile Mbityi, the South African champion. And he's seen nothing really come back from Leonard Makhanya that's going to worry him over much in this first round. He'll go to his corner, a pretty confident fighter, I would imagine, as we wind down towards the bell. The feeling in the Makhanya camp is that their man can outbox Mbityi, but that hasn't been the case here in the first round.
Well, perhaps Makhanya hoping that Mbityi will punch himself out.
When things have been cooking all day, the good people of this particular establishment place an order of their own. Lemon twist. It's South Africa's way to quench a thirst. Johannesburg, 27 degrees. It's lemon twisting time.
Welcome back to the Orient Theatre then. Into the second round we go, the South African title fight. If you've just joined us, the South African Flyweight Championship being fought here in East London's Orient Theatre. And an opening round, a very strong opening round for the South African champion. And again, he starts quickly here in the second round.
Well, Makhanya really does need to pick up his punch rate. Did very little in round one, and you notice that the skull and crossbones on Mbityi's trunks, that looks ominous, and believe me, he really is.
Or perhaps, Bert, he's a supporter of Orlando Pirates. Had you thought of that?
That's a possibility.
I doubt it, though, down here in East London, but you never know. And Mbityi with a very strong start again to the second round, driving Makhanya back into the ropes. Makhanya finds the center of the ring, but hasn't had things his own way in this title fight.
Well, now Makhanya beginning to push out that left jab, trying to get him get into the fight. He certainly didn't do much in round one.
Do you think there is a bit of a confidence problem there, perhaps, Bert?
I imagine there is, but they knew that Mbityi would start fast, and he's done that, and the idea is to wait for the opportunity to start unloading. And there's no question about it, Nick. Makhanya picking up his punch rate here in the second.
Well, he needs to gain the respect of the South African champion, whose own confidence must be sky high after beating Toto Mokorotlo in that terrific fight. And he lands a right hand, but Makhanya was off balance. Don't be fooled by that. He wasn't staggered. He was off balance. And Makhanya did well to evade the follow-up punches. Lots of head movement from Makhanya, and Mbityi is trying to land something big on the ropes. Makhanya turns him with a right hand.
Very good reflexes on the part of Makhanya, slipping many of those punches that were aimed at the head.
Very good head movement too by the challenger. Worth repeating that their camp, the Makhanya camp, feel they can stand there and outbox Mbityi.
Well, that's really the only chance that Makhanya has. He certainly can't match Mbityi for punching power, so he's going to have to try and outbox him.
And yet Makhanya is not a soft hitter, Bert. That's the surprising thing.
Yes, but Mbityi is a particularly hard hitter at flyweight, and that's the big difference.
Os Toto Mokorotlo, who's now gone up in weight, of course, to junior bantam, has had a few fights here in East London recently. That's another interesting sideline too. Mokorotlo, after losing to Mbityi, had all the fights. Mbityi, this is his first fight since that Mokorotlo encounter. Mokorotlo was lined up against a succession of Mexicans here. Not terribly good imports, I think one must be honest in saying. Again, a strong round for Mbityi.
Yes, and now Makhanya unleashing punches aimed at the head. A little bit high at the moment, but perhaps he'll find the range as the fight progresses.
Count Pushkin. Tatso yakatlo huya huile. Tabela kwekole mata a Count Pushkin. Imperial vodka. What you are doing? Keep on japping. Yonke yenzayo ufuna umixa ube careless uphume nje careless yabona. Try by all means uba into yenzayo uyenza ngengqondo.
You're running short. Right, very fun. Thank you. You're running short, okay? On your jabs to the body, okay? Get closer with those punches. Come.
Enoch Concordi in the corner of the champion and Nick Durant in the corner of the challenger. Here we go, round 3.
And you probably heard Nick Durant telling Makhanya that he's falling short with his punches to the body. Needs to close the gap.
Well, looking at the two fighters, it would appear as if Mbityi has a slight reach advantage. I don't know if you go along with that.
Yes, I would, Nick. I think he has both a height and reach advantage, and he makes good use of both.
Well, I think maybe Makhanya a little surprised that Mbityi hasn't really come at him off the stool. He's been prepared, has Mbityi, to stand there and box with Makhanya, and thus far he's outboxing the challenger.
Yes, the Makhanya camp thought that Mbityi would come out smoking. He hasn't done that. He's boxed from behind that jab, but even so, when he lets his punches go, they really hurt.
He's just been tagged with a Makhanya left hook. The best punch of the fight, and Makhanya gets caught in return. Both men landing solid shots to the head. Makhanya's rocked.
Well, Makhanya moved right into the path of that right hand to the head. And now he's holding the gloves high to ward off the punches from Mbityi.
Very wise, and something he's probably picked up from his last fight with the Russian. The Russian, with very fast hands, was able to get through to the target more often than Makhanya wondered, and really gave Makhanya a bit of a boxing lesson. That was Makhanya's last fight, of course. Up until then, a very promising career.
Well, that was a nice left hook from Makhanya, but he's not throwing enough of them. Being backed up all the time by the champion.
Oh, and Mbityi showing a very strong left jab. Pushing Makhanya back with that jab.
And going right between the gloves of Makhanya with the punch. Threading Makhanya's defense with the left jab.
Well, most of the work again being done by Makhanya, by Mbityi. Makhanya's in a bit of a shell, and Mbityi lands a good right hand. Again, Makhanya may be in trouble. Tries to fight his way out of the corner, and Mbityi won't let him out of this corner. A lot of confidence being shown by the South African champion this evening. Paced himself well over the 3 rounds thus far. Stop.
This summer, True Earth's man takes the look out into the heat, to the rhythm and the pulse of Miami streets, where energy is what you wear and attitude is just the way you wear it. This is fashion in the high degrees. And you can win a trip for 2 to Miami at True Earth's Man. For the card that leads the way, take a good look at True Earth's Man.
So you still got a long way to go. Don't mix with
You can punch. Let me fix your trousers. Get up. Water.
Well, glancing across at Bert Blert's scorecard, as I do from time to time, 10-9, 10-9, 10-9, all for Mbityi. And I don't think too many judges ringside would disagree with that. Mbityi has controlled the fight thus far. It's up to Makhanya really to get inside, slip a couple of punches, and I think the left hook is the big weapon for Leonard Makhanya, but he hasn't been able to land it too effectively from the range he's boxing at the moment.
Well, Nick Durant has advised Makhanya not to mix it, but quite honestly, I think he's going to have to mix it to get into this fight. He cannot work from the outside, Nick.
No, he's going to lose it from the outside. You're quite right, Bert, and that's where the head movement becomes important. He's got to slip punches and land his own. But he's allowing Mbityi to get off first, too. Mbityi invariably is leading. Makhanya looking to counter, but Mbityi just isn't in range. There's the left hook again, but falling short on the gloves.
Yes, the punch was thrown too wide, Nick. Mbityi saw it come in and didn't have much trouble taking the sting out of that blow. Well, you notice Mbityi keeping Makhanya on the end of his punches, and now he lashes out with lefts and rights as he backs the challenger up towards the ropes. Well, to his credit, Makhanya is unloading with punches as he moves on the inside. That's, I think, is what he has to do.
That certainly would appear to be the case. There he did catch Mbityi with the left hook.
Watch your heads.
This is beginning to look like a much better round for Makhanya.
Well, the range between the two fighters then could be closing a bit. And Makhanya is now able to land a little more frequently. The left hand to the face thrown by Makhanya.
Stop!
Third man in the ring, of course, is referee Clive Jackson from Natal, a neutral referee now in a South African title fight. That's the new condition of the South African title fight. In fact, the first neutral referee made his appearance in a South African title fight here in East London's Orient Theatre a couple of months back.
Well, Mbityi's throwing a lot of leather, but not all those punches landing. Many are missing, and others have been taken on the arms and the gloves by Makhanya.
It has been a better round for Leonard Makhanya.
Stop! You're pulling, okay? You're pulling. Box!
Well, referee Jackson very quick to pick up that infringement.
That's what you've got to do all the time. Okay? That's it. Put it in the bag. Forget about it. Put it in the bag. All the time. All the time. In the bag. We go. All right, drink it. Drink it. How you feeling, okay? All right, starting to pick up now.
Now, okay. We go inside. We go for the body now.
That's some replay from the fourth round. A much better round for Makhanya, although in the replay here it's Mbityi who's lashing out with lefts, rights and body shots. But not all of them are landing, you notice.
Now, let's keep it close.
Well, Mbityi then coming off a better fourth round as we go into the fifth. Still a long way to go, though. Scheduled for 12. South African title is at stake, of course. The champion, Zolile Mbityi. And this is his turf. Down here in East London. Takes a brave fighter to come and take on a champion here in East London. It's a very partisan crowd they usually run into. And tonight is no exception.
But they really enjoy the boxing here in the Orient Theatre. And once again, this is a useful fight. And look at Makhanya come back with a short right to the jaw. But high, perhaps.
Well, he really fired that right hand in, but Mbityi took it well.
Well, Mbityi's corner advised him between rounds to go to the body, but of course to do that, he's lowering his own guard, and that's left him open to the counter to the head.
Mbityi has landed his own right hook. I can understand the Makhanya corner's caution about mixing it with Mbityi, because Mbityi is a very good mixer, let's face it. Certainly against Toto Mokorotlo. He looked extremely good in that type of fight. He turned it into a real trench war.
Yes, well, I think Mbityi would like nothing better than if Makhanya does decide to stand and trade.
Well, both fighters are landing clean shots to the head now. Now you look for the heavier puncher, and in our reckoning, it's Mbityi. If they're both able to land cleanly to the head, the heavier puncher has got to stand the better chance. Oh, that's a good right hand by Makhanya. Makhanya has a fair punch himself. Oh, this is an exciting round of boxing.
Well, both the champion and challenger letting their punches go here in the fifth round.
Well, that was a solid, ripping right hand to the body thrown by the champion. Thud as the glove landed. Well, Makhanya dropped in a right hand. It just fell short of Mbityi.
Yes, Makhanya keeps trying to unload the right hand. He hasn't landed cleanly yet, so it's either high on the side of the head or just a glancing punch. A useful left hook from Makhanya on the inside.
Well, certainly more leather coming back from the challenger. A lot more punches being thrown by Leonard Makhanya here in the fifth, and looking so much better for it too. Although Mbityi is coming forward for most of the round, he's not controlling the action quite like he was. Takes the right hand at the bell, does the champion, throws his own. Exciting round.
Sponge. Zolile.
Every time you throw to the body, you're getting caught with counter punches. Voila. Please, Lenny, forget about the body. Work on his head. Make him miss and counter. Blow. Make him miss and... Okay, make him miss and counter. How you feeling?
You make him miss and I'm
Well, he has some replay from the fifth round. A particularly good round for Leonard Makhanya, making champion Mbityi miss with many of his punches that he kept throwing, and countering with good shots to the head, as you can see in the replay.
Well, I think that was a round that will have earned more respect now out of Zolile and Mbityi. Leonard Makhanya comes into the sixth with the trunks very high around his waist.
Well, the fifth was by far Makhanya's best round. In fact, I scored it in his favor, 10 points to 9. So he's certainly back into this fight at the halfway stage.
Well, Mbityi plants two punches below that trunk line, but believe me, they're not low punches. Makhanya just has his trunks very high. Perhaps Makhanya would have grown a little in confidence after the fifth. Able to land some good shots. But Mbityi has Makhanya in the corner above us, only briefly though. Makhanya speedily gets out of the corner, has his back to the ropes.
Mbityi staying right on top of Makhanya. Hooked a left between the gloves. Many of his punches being picked off on the arms and gloves by Makhanya.
Makhanya, of course, won't be unhappy with Mbityi right on top of him, because he'll be able to punch back himself. In fact, he looked a lot worse when the fight was controlled from a distance by Mbityi in the opening couple of rounds. Well, look at all that head movement there from Leonard Makhanya in his own corner.
He's proving to be a very elusive target. And as clearly there's nothing wrong with his legs this evening. Lots of mobility from Makhanya, making good use of the perimeter of this ring.
Well, that was a strong right hand thrown by the challenger on the side of Mbityi's head. Mbityi missing with those combinations to the head. The experience of losing to the Russian in Cape Town may have certainly taught Leonard Makhanya a lot. If they sat down and looked at the fight positively, this is a good exchange.
Mbityi missing with a great many punches in this round, but he throws so much leather that inevitably some of them must land.
Puts a lot of pressure on you, does the South African champion, Zolile and Mbityi. Makhanya fighting well with his backs to the ropes. Or his back to the ropes. Both fighters trading shots here on the ropes. Neither fighter really wants to take a backward step. Finally, Makhanya breaks the stance. Yeah, quite right. A lot of mobility being shown by Leonard Makhanya this evening. Mind you, against a champion like Mbityi, he certainly needs mobility. Mbityi digs away underneath at the bell, and a punch after the bell.
But please, 1, 2, 3. But we have done 1, 2, after that. Now what you hit? 1, 2, 3, Pagate.
Drink again. China, you've got to throw more right there. You catch him. Every time you throw that combination, you catch him.
Yeah? So we hit the body. That's get to 1, 2, Pagat, 1, 2, 3. So it's all right.
Looking at the face of Zolile and Mbityi, perhaps a little bit of marking under the eyes. There's certainly nothing to trouble the South African champion. I look across at Makhanya, and he looks pretty much unmarked.
Yes, and maybe a bit of frustration coming through for the champion. Not finding it nearly as easily in the second half of the fight to nail Makhanya as he did in the first.
Well, Makhanya's in a better rhythm now. There's a left hook that misses. He did catch Mbityi with a right hand, but Mbityi very quick to fire back his own punches. Keeps Makhanya off balance and on the back foot.
Well, Mbityi's got a very good punch rate indeed.
Extremely good.
He throws so much leather, Nick, that even if he misses with a great many of them do get through.
And that's really what won him the fight against Toto Mokorotlo. Really, he just threw so many punches that he overwhelmed Mokorotlo eventually. And I think the fight finished around about the 6th or 7th. And Mbityi, though, caught with Makhanya's left hand. A couple of punches. Oh, that's a good two-fisted attack to the head by the South African champion. Makhanya felt uncomfortable on the ropes, used his feet well to get away from the danger. Makhanya missing with that left hand. Well, Mbityi certainly is relentless. He keeps on pursuing Makhanya around the ring. I wonder how Makhanya is finding the pressure of this fight. He looks in reasonably good condition, doesn't appear to be breathing too hard at this stage of the fight. But if this goes to points, certainly the latter rounds could be very difficult at this pace.
Well, Makhanya has looked better the longer the fight has gone. And the last 2 rounds in particular, he looked very good. But Mbityi coming back into this fight now, he keeps so much pressure on his opponent. He's giving Makhanya hardly a moment's respite.
Oh, and Makhanya's through the ropes. Well, a two-fisted attack by the South African champion has draped Leonard Makhanya through the ropes, and he's struggling to find his feet.
6, 7.
Well, I think he actually cannot find his feet. He's caught up in the ropes.
Well, There could be a bit of controversy here, Nick, because when you're outside the ring like that, the referee should really give him 20 seconds to get back in. He was counted out in 10.
Well, Bert, as you go into the ring to pick up an interview with the South African champion, I thought Leonard Makhanya, if he had been knocked down within the ring, would have been able to find his feet. He was tied up within those ropes. But I must say, though, once Makhanya finally did find his feet, trainer Nick Durant was offering him consolation. He felt the fight should have been stopped. So there we go. There's a look at the two-fisted attack. A real barrage of punches coming in here. This is the fighter, Mbityi. This is the way he fights. All you flyweights out there that want to crack at the South African champion, you've got to be prepared to work as hard as this man. A two-fisted attack, driving Leonard Makhanya through the ropes, and his challenge with it. Here we go again. Not all these punches are landing. It's just the sheer number and weight of punches that prove too much for Leonard Makhanya. And Mbityi, you see there with the left hand holding on to Makhanya. He won't let Makhanya go. Bang, bang, bang. Wallop through the ring goes Makhanya. And now Makhanya has a problem. He's tied up in those ropes, unable to regain his feet. One wonders what sort of condition he would have been in if he had regained his feet. Looking at trainer Nick Durant, not too much complaint on his face, so one imagines that perhaps Makhanya really was rather badly hurt during that exchange. I didn't see any clean punches really go through to the head, but it was the sheer weight and number of those punches. Terrific two-fisted attack by the South African champion. Well, Bert Blut would be well advised to stay away from Mbityi's two-fisted attack and somehow position himself with the microphone and get a word with the South African champion. I'm sure he's very pleased with his performance. At the moment, though, the South African champion belongs to his corner and the photographers as he turns to face the press. Big smile, the pose for the photographers, and why not? A wonderful performance by the South African champion. Well, I think ring announcer Sipho Mzaleni is ready, first of all, to give us the time.
Just give them a very, very good round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the outcome of the fight. The winner in 2 minutes, 28 seconds of the 7th round by a knockout, and still the champ of South Africa, Zolile, Bone Crusher, Mbityi.
Well, I don't know if I heard the time correctly. It sounded like 2 minutes 48 seconds, so not too much time left in the round. Bert Blut now is with Mbityi. Let's hear what the champion has to say for himself.
Well, we've got Mbityi with us. Look at the camera. You were very effective in that fight, but there were rounds in which Makhanya looked as though he was coming back into the fight. Did he give you any problems?
No, the guy is awkward, and he always coming, and he keep on defense all times. So my plan is to keep on jumping and move and read.
You look to be more effective when you were boxing from the outside at long range. When he got on the inside, he seemed to be worrying you.
No, inside, if I'm looking, the guy is good inside. So my plan is to hit a jab and keep on moving.
Now, what sort of plans do you have for the future now that you've retained your title?
It depends on his manager, Menzi, and my promoter, Bram Zimasimgoni.
Okay, what do you have for the future?
I have good plans for Mbityi for the future because we already talked with Kaya Ngula and Stan about the WBC Intercontinental title. They gave me good promises. I told them when I pass this fight, I want to go for the Intercontinental title. But that's why I put up a good performance. I want to compete with that Russian who beat Makhanya in Cape Town. I want to show them that we can have a classy boy similar to the Russians.
Well, you might remember that was Alexander Mamatov. He was a very, very good fighter.
He was very strong. I saw him.
Very dangerous.
It's where I studied Makhanya from. I studied from that fight. I think from here, it will depend on Bramzi. Yeah, he can answer other questions for me.
Well, here's a promoter, Zeman Guni. Who will you match Mbityi against next? We're talking about Alexander Mamatov, the Russian. You want to bring him back?
But I've got my own plans. Immediately you match for me, then that's a problem. I've got my plans about Mbityi. You talk about Alexander, if he's not in my plans, let him go his way, I'll go my way. But I'm sure that everybody's convinced. And if there's anybody who's got doubt about Mbityi, I mean, in that division here in South Africa, whatever happens now, I want him to go overseas. And I can tell Bet, we have proved now we can compete with our overseas boxers, and we must be given a chance. And Mbityi is one of the boys that will make a mark in the international.
Thank you very much indeed, Z.
Thank you,
we
Bert.
wish you good luck for the future. Back to Nick Collis at ringside.
Thanks very much, Bert. Interesting sideline here. Nick Durant has been complaining to the border officials about the slackness of the ropes, and that would indicate that he is unhappy with the way Makhanya was knocked out. He felt perhaps that Makhanya could have regained his footing. In fact, you're going to find out right now from him, Bert.
I have Nick Durant with me. Two things, Nick, that came during this fight. One was the fact that your man went through the ropes and couldn't get back in. The other is that, as I understand it, when a man's outside the ring, he's entitled to a 20-second count to get back in.
I'm very disappointed about that. Leonard Makhanya, you can look at now, he's not even dizzy. He's not dizzy, he wasn't hurt. He couldn't get back into the ropes. If you have a look at the ropes here, they've got no ties in the middle. The ropes are far too loose. I said this when I got into the ring. All the ropes are not tied here. My boy should have, as you say, been given a 20-second break to get out, to get into the ring, and he wasn't. He was counted out. He wasn't even dizzy. He didn't get hurt. He was pushed through the ropes.
Are you going to lodge an objection with the boxing
Yes,
board?
definitely. When I get back to Johannesburg tomorrow, I'm going to lodge an objection because, I mean, the ropes aren't standard here. If you have a look yourself, but, I mean, the ropes aren't even tight.
Yes, well, he certainly struggled to try and get back in, and it
I mean,
occurred
I felt
to me...
my fighter was coming back into the fight as well.
Yes, he was doing well in the late rounds, and I particularly thought about the 20-second count when he was outside the ropes. Normally they allow them 20 seconds to get back in.
Well, I am going to lodge a complaint because I don't believe that was a TKO or a knockout.
Well, there you have it from Nick Durant. He's going to lodge an objection with the boxing board. Back to Nick Collis at ringside.
Thanks very much, Bert. The story gets even more interesting when you consider, and this is the first time I've told the viewers this tonight, that this is actually not the ring that is usually used in East London. That ring went missing. Where, we're not quite sure, but there was great consternation when setting up the ring earlier this afternoon. At 3 o'clock, we had no ring here. We had to go and find another one, and the ring was set up as a late replacement, really, for the original ring. They did a very good job of the sports arena canvas. I'm sure you'll agree with me there. But the ropes, I think Nick Durant has a point. The ropes do look far too slack. There are no ties. Here's a look again at that two-fisted attack, a murderous attack by Zolile Mbityi, the South African champion. Really putting out all the stops, putting the punches together. Great action by the South African champion. He retains his title. Hope you enjoy that. We'll